Hey, it's Mike Draper with AWC TV. We're going to talk with Jersey Josh today. You're going to love this subject. The subject we're going to talk about today is, it's easy, you're the idiot. So Josh, thanks for being on board. We appreciate you. What a great topic this is going to be.
Yes, absolutely.
So this could go so many different directions, but the first place I want to start with this is at social media, right? And I think you've mentioned in other takes before where, you know, it's the highlight reel. All you see is everybody's successes. Nobody posts their bad things. And so there's just this mentality of, hey, everybody's doing great. There aren't any problems. And then to further it, it seems like there's people out there that, you know, they've got it all figured out. And because you don't, you're an idiot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's the world of social media is the highlight reel is completely right. No one ever talks about, wow, I really screwed this one up. I made 38 cents an hour on this job, you know, because they know if they put that out there, they'll get 100 keyboard cowboys that will tell them, well, this is why you did it wrong. I've never done that. I make $300 an hour every, you know, there's so many people out there that if their companies and the health of their company were as big as they were, they wouldn't be sitting on Facebook in the middle of the afternoon either.
Yeah, very true. So then there's the other side of it. There's the guys that are the keyboard cowboys that have it all figured out, and the struggles aren't real out there. It's just that you're an idiot. You haven't plugged into the right program yet. You don't have the right system yet. It's just you're an idiot.
Yes, yeah, and people don't understand how much luck comes into how much luck. Think about like some of the largest jobs I've ever gotten were completely by the tallest building I ever serviced. I happen to be driving downtown in our town, and I'm like, oh, I'll try to figure. I happen to talk to the lady who was at the front of the building, and she's like, oh, I got the invoice to the property management company right here. There's the number. And I called, and they were like, we were just talking about how we hate the window cleaner. That's so weird that you called. It was like the luckiest, you know, people forget that as awesome as you are at business, there's a lot of luck. So when you tell somebody else that it's them that's doing it, maybe they just haven't hit the luck side of things yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, then there's the other side of it altogether again. It's that you got all these social media cowboys that are in all these groups and this and that. They just started their business, and they always want to get in these arguments with guys that have been in the business for 30-some years. Because obviously the guy that has the most tenure in the business is the idiot.
Yeah.
I
really like those ones too, because some of the things that, and if you remember in a group, there was a guy named Benji who was like the bane of my existence. He was just telling everybody that soft washing was dumb. It's so much better the way he does it. And he actually had a like garden hose attachment that he duct taped to the tip of his like extension pole. And that's how he cleaned it. And that was so much better. And everybody else who's doing it a different way was dumb. And he's making $70 a house easy. And I'm like, you know.
Yeah.
What do you do? The problem with arguing with an idiot is there's only one person in the conversation that knows they're an idiot, and it's not them.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. So, you know, and then, you're in the sales side. So do you ever get this call? Do you ever get somebody calls you, asks the guy that's been in the business for 15 years how to do something like scrape a window or something? And then they argue with you as to how the process that you're teaching them is going or is supposed to go.
Yes. I've had people who have even called on the scraper side of things and asked what we sell the scrapers for. And I said, well, you know, it's pretty common to scrape glass like that's. And they go, no, you can't use a razor and glass. I have for 15 years. It's one of my favorite tools for windows. That you can't do that. It would scratch the windows. And I'm like, well, you're telling me that you've never tried it, but I've done it for 15 years, and I know differently. But it's tough. The problem is when you're a new guy is that you don't know who to listen to either. So you're torn, and it just confuses people when you have too much going on and conflicting stories, you know?
Yeah, and that's really part of the problem. I think we live in a world right now where there's too much information.
Yeah.
The best thing, I mean, when I had my business and going, and I didn't have anything for a lot of years, but then at some point you started getting some forums, you know, and you could throw a question out there. And that was kind of the way it all started, was these internet forums, chat rooms. and you could go in there, there's a bunch of window cleaners, somebody to respond. But even back then, it was kind of the same thing. It was like you'd post something and you're like, here's what I'm dealing with in my area. And it's real, right? It's not something that it's trivial. And then you'd get unlaced, somebody like, well, you're an idiot. That doesn't happen. And some of these things,
demotivating.
Yeah. Some of these things are even market specific, right? There's certain things that go on in a market that doesn't go on in another market. And you've got to navigate your way through that.
Yeah. Like you were in Minnesota. I was in Wisconsin. Minnesota, right? Not Michigan?
No, Illinois.
I don't know. I got both of them wrong. Yeah, but you were in the same climate where it's cold. Like in Wisconsin, we stop business about Thanksgiving, and we don't do another house other than the few here and there for like kind of trickle throughout the year. We don't really do residential again until like April. Like that's pretty rare in a lot of these. Where I'm in North Carolina now, we can clean year round pretty easily. So when I tell people that, at Thanksgiving, we don't get calls in December really. And they go, oh, you're doing it wrong. You're not marketing. You're not advertising. Or it's like negative 20 degrees and nobody's thinking about window cleaning, So
yeah,
people tend to forget how different it is in different places.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's the message here? If we live into, this world where you can go anywhere, you can post on social media or whatever, you get 15 different answers. What do you think? I mean, what's a guy supposed to do? A guy that's starting out, or a guy, most of the guys that have been in the business for a long time, they're not the ones on social media anyway. I mean, some are, but they're not the ones that are actively involved. They're busy in their business. They're not on there. I know a lot of the big players in the United States. I mean, the big guys. And I can tell you that none of them are on these boards. They're just not there.
No.
And but anyway,
because they're busy working.
yeah, right. They're running 40 people today. They don't have time to tell you about your soft wash system. But so what is the message then? I mean, how are these guys supposed to sort through the information that's out there? And it's coming fast. It's coming all the time, and a lot of it's not even right.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just like a lot of like just news in general and Facebook and everything else in real life is don't believe it until you can kind of prove it or do a little research on your own. The other thing is know who you're getting your info from. If I have a few people that email, call, text me regularly. That's one of the benefits to being able to kind of help people is that, you can deal with one person. And you hear some of the stuff where, what do you think? Because I heard this, you have to understand that where it's coming from, if you trust that person or that group of people or those couple people, it's easier than to go on that side of things than to just listen to the masses, because there's still people who hate water-fed poles. And I've been a water-fed personally for like 10 years, and I couldn't imagine window cleaning without the option to water feed, but there's people who hate on that. So then it's like, okay, how can somebody be so passionate on one side and love the product, and on the other side be so passionate and hate the product and say it doesn't do good and you can't clean like a traditional squeegee? So it's very hard to kind of differentiate what the actual truth is. You got to figure out who you're hearing it from, I guess.
Yeah. And some of it is too, you just have to try it. I mean, so many things when we didn't have social media back in the day, I mean, so many things was, you'd see a new product, maybe you'd see it at a show or whatever, and you'd bring it home, and there's some stuff that works and some stuff that didn't work, and some stuff doesn't work all the time. It seems like everybody wants an answer to something that's going to work on every single application. It's not the way it works.
Yeah.
It's certainly not the way it works with marketing. If there was a silver bullet with marketing, then everybody would be doing it.
This would be easy. Yeah. There'd be no challenge to it.
Exactly. Yeah. So how about some of these, I don't know what you call them. You call them kind of business gurus. And I'm not trying to say that, there aren't some credible guys out there. There are. But, it is funny to me that you get some of these guys that are talking and they're telling you how to run your business and you should do this and you should do that. And, you start looking back at their business themselves or the success that they've had. And success can be measured different ways, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to be there. So that, again, it's easy. You got to do this. You got to do this. You're an idiot. Just follow my direction. And there's a lot of that out there.
The downside to being a content, which I consider myself kind of a content creator, you're a content creator, right? Like the part of your life exists to make content for other people to help and learn. And there's that side of it, but then there's the other side of it where I think people, they either think they're going to be rich because they create some content. Oh, YouTubers are making, listen, this is a niche market. It just cannot happen. The most popular YouTuber in the window cleaning industry ever never made money doing this, right? So there's that side of it. And then there's even more of the people that are getting into this that like to hear themselves talk and see themselves on camera, but they don't care about what they're saying. They just care to hear themselves, right? So there's a lot of that. And it feels like every day there's somebody new like, hey guys, this is so-and-so. And those are the people who then want to be gurus and teach people. And I got this paid subscription thing you can do now. You just have to know where the source is coming from and weed through it. There's a lot of experts in our industry that aren't necessarily experts.
Yeah, absolutely. It is interesting because, like I said, and you probably do too, from the sales side, I know when I was in the distributor side, I know who the big boys are because I'm watching figures, I'm watching purchases.
Yeah.
Right. And so I can tell who's real and who isn't.
Yeah, there's a lot. The other side of it is there's some people that I have that they're everywhere. You see them comment on everything. They're out there doing that. But then on the other side of it is if you have a different relationship with them, and again, that's one of the main things I do is have people call me, text me, just to help, not just to sell things. So I kind of am friends with people on top of it, and hearing the real side of their business, it's like I would never have guessed by the highlight reel you put out on Facebook. So everybody's looking to make another buck by doing this. And sometimes people don't necessarily realize there isn't what they think, it's not quite what they think. So, yeah.
I remember at a trade show one time, this was years ago. And I think Facebook had started, certainly the forums were out there, and there was a guy, and I won't mention any names, but there was a guy that was just like, all over the boards, right? Like the leading authority, it looked like on these forums.
Yeah.
And I was at a show one time, and again, success can be measured different ways. So I'm not saying it's just point of view. It just opened my eyes to something. But Here was this expert, and I knew what I was doing. I mean, I knew that I had a company and I had 12 guys running and all this stuff. But there was like this expert, and it's like I was kind of gravitated towards like, well, maybe I don't know something. Maybe I should learn and all this. And so I'm standing next to this guy at a trade show, and I just throw it out there kind of arbitrarily. I'm like, hey, man, you going to hit 100,000 this year? And he says, man, I'm going to be happy if I hit 30. Wow. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'm hoping to hit 30 this year. And so, I mean, it really opened my eyes because I was like, I was way over that. I think I was a $500,000 company at the time. And I was just kind of just jokingly, kind of just, I don't even know why, just being a little facetious. And then I was like, my. Yeah, I've been, not that I was deceived, but it's like, I think that happens. I think that's out there. I mean, the loudest voice doesn't necessarily mean it's the most knowledgeable.
That's right. Yeah. And the other thing with this, whenever you hear people talking or see people writing or anything, or even books, I mean, reading the books, and I could tell you the size of the collection I have in just books in general. There's not one thing that answers all the questions. There's not just one way that you need to focus everything on, because you have to pick pieces out of everything. If Joe Schmo on, the computer is telling you this is the way it is, this is how you do it, this is it. It's not 100% it. It just happens to be 100% in the exact same point he's in his business, in the exact same place he's in his business, in the exact same way he runs business. Everybody's different. Just like tools. I may like a certain squeegee that you don't like. I may like rubber that you don't like. There's a lot of different things out there that just because I like it doesn't mean you like it.
Yeah. I had an experience on that. Guy called me up. He says, hey, can you tell me what's the best squeegee? And I said,
once a week I get that question.
And I never like to impose what I think is the best squeegee on somebody. I have my favorites like anybody does, right?
Yeah.
But I answer him, and he asked me it 3 times in a text, and I answer him, it's really personal preference.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this, but I heard the story later because there was another mutual friend of ours that was telling the story back to me later, and he was saying he was so aggravated that you would not answer the question. You kept saying personal preference. And finally, he asked me, he says, well, what did you use? And it's like, okay, well,
that's a question.
But, and it doesn't mean that I hate to get out and say, well, I use this and this is the best and this is what you should do because it's the only way. Yeah. And again, it kind of puts it that theme again. This is easy. You're the idiot. You're not using the right tool. But at any rate,
I always say that I'm just some guy with a microphone. It doesn't mean I'm right or wrong. Like, however you run the coolest thing about business is however you run business is right because it's your business. Could you always make improvements? Could you always be healthier of a company? Yes. But the fun thing of it is that however you do it or however you decide to do it is right because it's your company. So there is no better way. There may be improvements, but there's no one, like you said, there's no silver bullet. There's no one thing across the board.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so, I think the message here then is really what we have to become as business owners. And if we're going to be out on, social media or wherever, there's a plethora of information coming at us. We have to be better digesters of information, right? Just because you get information doesn't mean that you need to act on information. And it's good to survey all the information to make sure that things make up and you have a balanced approach. I've seen guys literally take business advice and they thought that this person had it all figured out and they start paying them a bunch of money as a consultant or whatever. And they follow every single thing that consultant says and they lose their business.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
If I ask somebody a question, it's because I want their opinion. It's not because I need to copy exactly what they're doing. And that's like you said, you hit it right on the head. If you think that you're going to clone somebody else's business, you're going to fail. That's where a lot of these gurus that say there's one way to do it. It's unfortunately not true.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it has really, I've just seen it happen a few times where, man, they about face, they changed everything they were doing and went a different direction. And then in a year down the line, they're not in business because it didn't work. And so just be aware of that, guys. I mean, looking at home and thinking about this, and listening to the podcast, whatever, become a digester of information. It's okay. Let it all come in, but don't act on every single thing somebody's telling you because it may be that they're the idiot.
Yeah. There's a big difference between opinion and fact. The sky is blue is a fact, but yet if I tell you anything in business, it's an opinion, so differentiating. The biggest mistake you can make by listening to content is taking an opinion and considering it a fact.
Yeah. And I put ourselves on that. I mean, take this podcast, take this video, whatever, take the pieces of it that will benefit you and trash the rest. I get it. It's fine. You have a lot of content coming at you. So, it's no different here. We're not saying we're the authority. We've had some success and we might know a couple things, but it may not work in your area. It may not work the way it worked for me. I started my business. This is I'm 47 this year and I started when I was 16. So 31 years, almost in the business. But the way that I built the business back then may be totally different now. I don't know. Things have changed for sure. I know my hair color's changed.
Right. I always say on AWC Nation podcast, I always say, A, I'm a guy with a mic, so take that with a grain of salt. And B, all I try to do is be better than a cat video. Waste some time. Maybe you pick up a thing. Maybe it opens your eyes to something, but don't take everything you say as fact. Again, opinion versus fact. There's a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. But Josh, we appreciate you delving into this conversation with us. It's easy. Definitely. You're the idiot. But guys out there, don't feel that way. Everybody doesn't have it figured out. And many of the guys that are responding and this and that are dealing with the same struggles that you're dealing with. So, Jersey, we appreciate you being on with us with this topic. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Stay tuned for our next episode of AWC TV by following us on YouTube, Facebook, or our website, awcmag.com.